Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Gaming. Okay, no countdown this time. We're getting straight into this one. Let's talk about it. If you go across any YouTube channel, particularly in sport boxing, or any channel in general, you will have people that are commentators, people who will comment and leave comments, or they will express how they feel about a certain team or certain player or certain fighter, and they're reporting the news to you. Some are agenda driven, in terms of, for example, in boxing, some people like PBC, some like Matchroom, some like Top Rank. You've got the different promoters and the different organizations attached to those promoters. I've said something from day one, and I have to say this again for people that are new to the channel and that may not know my history. And I'm saying this statement now, and I'm making it a disclaimer. I am a fan of boxing, pure boxing, the fight game, the best fighting the best. The guy, I fall in love with the guy that starts his career off, nobody knows about him. He picks up in England, pick up the British title, the Commonwealth title, the European title, then gets his world title shot. I'm a big believer of the prospect to contender to champion, to legend. I love that progression. I've always been a person that's believed in that, and that is the best way about boxing. For me, that's what I like. I like to see guys fight. Don't get me wrong, I love a tear up, but I also like to see guys that are defensively responsible. In other words, I like to see guys blocking punches when they need to, slipping shots, rolling, coming back and countering. I love that kind of stuff. Don't mind a guy sitting in the pocket and slipping and rolling. Do you mean blocking the uppercut, or blocking uppercut in front of the left hook, or slipping and throwing an uppercut inside, or throwing a left hook over the top, slipping back and cracking with a right hand. Do you mean? Or stepping two to the left, two to the right, make a man go one way and cracking with the other punch. That sort of stuff I love. I love the art of boxing. I always have. And for years, we have prided ourselves, or taken great pride in bringing some of the best names within the sport of boxing to this channel. 4 or 5 undisputed champions have come through this channel. And it's an absolute honor, from Evander Holyfield to Terence Crawford to Alexander Usyk. We've had the undisputed before they've become undisputed, apart from Holyfield, who was former undisputed champion at cruiserweight, and then at cruiserweight, undisputed, and at heavyweight as well, which was an incredible feat. So we've had legends on the channel. We've had people from the grassroots level building themselves up, working away from being unknown, completely dismissed by the press, dismissed by people on this channel, to go on to become champions of the world. We've watched people on this channel become champions of the world, from being unknown to being champion. Keith Thurman. We can keep going on and on and on. I say this to say that the reason why I bring trainers onto the channel is to educate us. It's for us to learn more about the fight game, to learn more about not just going there throwing punches. He's bigger at the weight, he's stronger at the weight, but to actually use just to think about about each fight and take other things in consideration. We've had guys like Stacey McKinley, trainer of 35 world champions, James Ella Bashir. We've had Tommy Brooks on the channel. We've had so many trainers on the channel, so many trainers from British level, Commonwealth, European, world level, Don Charles. The list goes on with the sort of trainers we've had on the channel. Abel Sanchez. So we've had some of the best trainers in the world on the channel, talking about the sport, sharing their experiences as trainers. And that, when they're talking, rather than me just going off talking, it's great to have them on the channel, that you're able to listen, learn, and get the opportunity to be among some of these guys, these great trainers. And I think there's a reason why I'm going through all this with you. So for me, it's always about allowing or not allowing, or creating. It's not about me. It's creating a bridge to bring those people from that world, in that universe, the boxing universe, and bringing them on camera or over the phone that we can talk to them. People who've trained champions, people who've trained legends, Tony Brooks, another, people who've been with Hall of Fame fighters, people who've got a lineage where we can say, well, who did you learn your trade from? Well, I learned my trade from this person, and that also was a great trainer. Do you understand? James Allen-Pichot, a great example, that he was working with Emmanuel Stewart, but there were other great trainers around that at the time as well. So this is what I'm saying. It's so important to have, and we pride ourselves on this channel on doing that. Not just one person behind a camera rambling on, talking. And the reason why I say we pride ourselves is where I'm going into this next point now. You need to know, if you don't know, you need to know what the person behind the person that is in front of the camera, what do they believe so? What do they believe in boxing? What are their belief systems in boxing? What do they think about boxing? What do they know about boxing? I'm not saying it's essential that you've boxed, but if you have boxed, it does give you a certain level of understanding of what it's like to get hit with a punch, what it's like to do training, what it's like to get into camp, what it's like to fight, the nerves, which I think has always been an advantage when I've gone and done interviews with fighters or gone to the gyms and met them, been able to have a conversation with them that we can relate. And I think there's that thing, fighters know fighters. And you can sit in the gym and, hi, Lakvinder, hope you will. Good to see you in the room. You know, we can sit in the room and we can discuss and we talk about certain things in training. You know, the days when you get out of your bed, you don't want to be there. The days when you're on the ropes and a guy's pounding and you're like, I don't really want to be here. And your trainer knows you don't want to be there and he puts more pressure on you. Those things, do you understand? And I think those things are crucial and important, really important for me anyway, personally. So I go on to say this. I've always loved the sport of boxing. I always will love the sport of boxing. But what I have no time whatsoever for is propaganda. What I have no time for is lies and spinning. What I have no time whatsoever for is clear biasness and favoritism. I have no time for that on the channel whatsoever. I'm not here. If a guy's a good fighter, he's a good fighter, regardless if he's black, he's white, he's pink, he's purple. Don't care. Can he fight? I'm interested in him. I want to know about him. What he does outside the ring, of course, certainly does play an impact with me, particularly if you're going to interview that person. If the person's a complete idiot outside the ring, not particularly interested in what they have to say. Do you know what I mean? Very rarely you've had that situation, but it's more about the person in the ring and what they're doing, and I'm very interested in what they're doing inside the ring. Promoters, as far as I'm concerned, and the way I look at it, is promoters are there to sell a show. They're there to sell a show. They're saying, come and watch us. Don't watch them as much as say, come and watch us. Come and spend your money with us. Come and invest with us. That's what it's about. So when you have a situation like that, the promoter will always, for the most part, do what's necessary to sell their fighter. The promoter's job is to promote. Okay? That has always been the job of the promoter. Now, there is, as far as I'm concerned, and for years now, and it's getting worse, but the fans can't see it, that one promoter slagging another promoter's promotions off, which is not classy. But there's another thing. I want to take you back to when Audley Harrison wanted to self-promote. He didn't want to go with the big promoters. He wanted to do it his way. And Audley got hell for it. But then we got people like Nassim Hamid having their own promotions, Ricky Hatton having his own promotions, Joe Kazaki having their promotions, because the promoters were taking too much money, and the promoters end up the fighters in turn said, look, I don't need you promoting me no more. I can do my own damn promotions. And that made the big promoters start losing money. And so they started turning, right? And they get resentful and they don't like it. They don't like to see other people have power. They need to keep it within the family. They need to keep it within their own set, right? Understand this. Understand this. If you don't go back and look at the stories and what they did with Audley Harrison and demonize Audley Harrison because he wanted to be his own promoter, or the £1 million deal he had for those that for him fighting on BBC. Oh, it's terrible he did that. With Frank Warren or Eddie Hearn had done that, it'd have been fine. But he went and got that deal, and the promoters had a problem with it. I fast forward to now, 2020, Mike Tyson and Roy Jones. And I'm listening to this press conference, and I'm listening to these journalists. I'm thinking, you are paid journalists. You are meant to be the cream de la creme. Your faces are, you're the cream de la creme. You're the experts. You're the people that fans go to and look to for advice or look to give us some sort of insight. And the questions you're asking are downright casual questions. How can you ask Roy Jones if he's preparing if he's preparing to fight Mike Tyson, or has his preparations got better preparing to fight Mike Tyson? Are you a fool or what? You know, why would you even ask such questions? Why would you ask such questions? Why would you ask such questions? Hold on a second. Let me just send this off here. Excuse me a second. Should have just switched my phone off, really. So these promoters, back to these journalists. So these journalists here, and a lot of these journalists that you all like to run to on Twitter or on Facebook or Instagram, wherever you want to get your information from these journalists, you have to watch them carefully. A lot of these journalists are bought by promoter to sell their fighter, to promote their BS, their line of BS. Or we've got the best fighter in the world. We've got pound for pound the best fighter in the world. Or, you know, this is the best promotion you'll see, the best pay-per-view card you'll see. And sometimes, yeah, it's valid. It's valid. And sometimes it's pure BS. You've got to watch these promoters and how these promoters, sidekicks. That's what I call them. Promoter sidekicks. Mini promoters that work within the journalism industry. And see, when they're on the side of the promoter and they're a powerful promoter, they can say anything. They could say anything whatsoever to protect their fighter or to make their fighter look like a superstar. And that's what they're meant to do. And when they've got when they've got these journalists in the pocket, they have a way of being able to manipulate the media. I will tell you this, those who control the media control the minds. Understand this. So we go back to this situation with the boxing. So Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson, if you go back and listen to the press conference questions and you watch the people, the faces of the people who are asking the questions, and listen to the line of questioning, and you're questioning two legends. And some of these people asking the questions sound like casuals. And these are paid journalists. They're the ones that are the first to stick a microphone in the face. They're the first to get a chance to talk to a legend if they're coming into a country or at a press conference. They're the first, and then everyone else. All the YouTubers come afterwards. And they've got the opportunity to talk to two legends, two undisputed legends in Roy Jones and Mike Tyson. And those are the questions you're asking. And at first I thought, why would you do that? But then I thought about it. Are these journalists that dumb? Or is it an agenda? And I think it's an agenda. Check Mike Tyson and Roy Jones. They're doing a fight supposedly for charity, right? Fight's going to be on Thriller. So it's not going to be on Sky, or it might be on Sky. It's not going to be on. It might be on Sky. It might be on BT. Right. The bottom line is the promoters in this country are not getting a penny for it. they are not promoting it. And if they're not promoting it, then there's a problem. And if you watch any fights that have got no promoters involved with it, not the big name promoters in it, they're always rubbish in it, the event. Always. One way or another trying to dig the smokes in. No, we don't want it. We don't want to deal with you. We don't want you promoting this event. We don't want your hands involved. Because Mike Tyson, Roy Jones know what it's about. They may want to keep more money. They don't want the promoters involved because the promoter's going to ask a certain amount of money. They don't want to go to certain networks. Two legends are facing one another. It's not a good fight. Okay, if you say so. But all those people who say it's not a good fight, I bet they'll tune in to watch Mike Tyson and Roy Jones fight. So fans are fickle. Fans are fickle. And probably the most boxing fans, to be fair, I hate to say, probably the most fickle, untrustworthy, disloyal set of people you can get. Because 1 minute they'll look at one guy and say, oh yeah, he's unbeaten, and as long as he's unbeaten, I'm going to support him. Once he gets beat, I'm going to move to the next flavor of the month. Yeah? Today, they'll be saying a whole heap of stuff about a fighter. He's garbage, he's crap, he's this, he's that. He becomes champion. Oh yeah, great fighter, great fighter, great fighter. Gets beat, he's garbage. No loyalty. No loyalty. You know what I'm talking about. And agendas. They can't see past. If a guy's a good fighter, because a person is because a person is black or is white, not because he can fight. Let me give you an example of this. So Golovkin is not Mexican. He's nowhere part Mexican. Okay? I think he's Ukrainian, right? I think Golovkin's Ukrainian. Oh, no, Kazakhstan, right? Get it right. So he's from Kazakhstan, all right? And in Kazakhstan, yeah, I didn't know they were Mexican. I didn't know what the Mexican connection is. But he could do Mexican dancing and Mexican style fighting, yeah. And basically, when he was backing up to Golovkin to Canelo, the Mexicans would not call that Mexican style fighting, right? Getting backed up by a guy that's a smaller fighter than yourself. After you said that you used to stay in the ring and fight, you're backing up against Canelo. That's not Mexican fighting, but it's acceptable because Golovkin can do it. Floyd comes to the ring wearing a Mexican thing. It's not good. There's a problem. Gervonta Davis does it. It's not good. It's a problem. Okay. So let's go again. So now we have the situation with so promoters who don't get a cut of the pie will always be bitter. Promoters who don't get a cut of the pie will always try and block. That's just the way promoters are in boxing. That's just the way it is. They will block. If they're not getting a share of the pie, they will block, or they'll use the media to either character assassinate. If not character assassinate, then they will say, you shouldn't buy this event. It's two old guys fighting. Why should you watching them fight? It's garbage. It's not pay-per-view. I wouldn't pay per-view for that. But let me tell you something. If those promoters were getting a cut out of it, those promoters say, great fight, two legends fighting. So are they legends or aren't they legends? What is this? So that's why I have no time for when promoters look at other, like people trying to be independent and they try and slate it. Good on Roy Jones and Mike Tyson to go independent. Fantastic. And good on them to go on a different network, which is an independent network, away from the big mainstream. Congratulations. Well done. Keep it going. Well done, lads. So I'll support them 110%, regardless of what the mainstream media have got to say and their garbage journalism have got to say. Absolute garbage. And half of them can't break a fight down. If they couldn't break an head, let alone break down a fight. Just telling you as it is. And you should watch these people when they're talking on social media. That's another thing. When you know about people know about boxing, watch what they read on Twitter. Twitter's a cesspit, right? If you look on Twitter and you read people like now, this Ajit Caballero fight. Caballero, who's Caballero? Don't know anything about him. He's garbage. So one writer puts that out there, or one person who's an influencer Does that influencer take the time to study tape or Caballero? No. Do they even take the time to look at box rep, to look at the record? No. Will they look and say, if this guy's got good footwork, if he's got good defensive, has he got a good jab, can he box? No. But these are people who are influencers that will influence your mind and make you think, oh, he's a garbage fighter. He's a garbage fighter. And that's where upsets happen. Because what happens is you get into a system where if this person says it, then it's got to be right. I'm not going to do any research myself. I'm not going to look into it. I'm going to listen to what the broadcasters have to say. I'm going to listen to what Joe Bloggs has got to say. Joe Bloggs gets 8 times out of 10 predictions wrong. Joe Bloggs doesn't do any research. Joe Bloggs does lots of copy and pasting. I don't expect this video to be positive, to be popular, and I don't give a damn. I'm not doing this for views. I'm doing this to show you what's going on in the sport. Yeah, that's what it's about. That's what's happening. But people don't want to hear truth. People don't want to do research. People don't want to look into things. People are quite happy to copy and paste and just accept what they're being told. So let's talk now. Talked about Tyson. Let's talk about pay-per-view. So Santa Cruz versus Tank Davis. That was a good fight. It was a competitive fight. As a matter of fact, when before Tank scored that hellacious uppercut, Santa Cruz was starting to get on top of Tank, and then he landed that hellacious uppercut. That was a pay-per-view. That was pay-per-view worthy. The fight was pay-per-view, and the knockout was pay-per-view quality. I have been questioning Tank in terms of I didn't like the way he's been unprofessional in the way he's gone about his business about getting on the weights and scales. I've been absolutely disgusted of the way he handles himself as a professional getting on the scales. But in this fight against Santa Cruz, he did the weight. He got in there against a top guy and knocked Santa Cruz out. Listen, before the fight, yeah, Santa Cruz. This is boxing fans. Santa Cruz, it's a good test for Tank. He'll beat Tank. Yeah, Santa Cruz is this. Santa Cruz. Every freaking thing is Santa Cruz, right? Santa Cruz gets his ass knocked out through the ropes, out cold and put to sleep, yeah? And then, well, Santa Cruz, he only had C-class opponents, and he fought really the best fighters in the world, and and. Now, if Golovkin landed that same punch, right, and had knocked someone out, you'd be hearing Golovkin, great fighter, pound for pound, great, best puncher of all time. That's what happens, and this is why I talk about the biasness within boxing. The biases within boxing. And that's why certain people have to go and set up their own media outlets to say, if you can't report the news properly, or if you can't give us a fair shake, then what we're going to do is give credit where it's due. I have to give credit to people saying Santa Cruz was too small, not saying the same in Loma fight. Well, there you go. It was one of the best KOs in recent years. Where if you put that KO up against the Dillian White KO in terms of uppercuts, it was the year of the uppercut. If this is the year of the uppercut. Tank is a beast. If Lopez stays at 135 pounds and Tank moves up, what a fight that is! Absolutely. So people see it. People are seeing it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Tank is a second coming of, I don't know, Julian Jackson. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you that he's exciting to watch. The boy's got hands he can punch. Not sure about what he's like defensively because Santa Cruz started getting on top of him, but he's exciting. And that uppercut was sensational. That was pay-per-view. So if somebody wants to say to me, you're always criticizing pay-per-view, that was pay-per-view. That knockout was pay-per-view. That was class. Do you understand? That was what you want to see. Now, you don't obviously want to see Santa Cruz in that position, but that's what you're looking for. You want to see devastating knockouts. I think Julian Jackson would have been pay-per-view because you know what you get with Julian Jackson. Nigel Benn, should be pay-per-view. You know what you're getting. Deontay Wilder should be pay-per-view. You know what you're getting in terms of punching power. Looking for brutal knockouts. What I don't get and don't understand, it's so stupid. People say to me, Mayweather's boring. Okay, Mayweather's boring. Fine. He's technical. Wilder. Wilder's can't box. So Wilder is getting all these knockouts, brutal one-punch knockouts. We don't like that. So then you don't like the boxing of Mayweather. So what exactly is it? So Mayweather, the master of hit and not get hit, which is what boxing is, the art of hit and not getting hit. Not walking in the ring and getting hit all the time like this and doing head aerobics. That's not boxing. That's not boxing. But there's a little agenda being pushed there. So, you look at that and you say to yourself, wait, these people who flitter between the one and the other, who's your fighter then? If you don't like the devastating punching power of a Deontay Wilder, and you have a problem with Tank Davis, and then you have where do you stand with all this? You don't like the movement and the boxing ability. One of the best fighters of our generation in Floyd Mayweather. You don't like the punching power, the dynamite punching power of Deontay Wilder, right? And then you'll say Santa Cruz fought C-class opposition, but then Gennady Golovkin, who I don't know how many former world champions he beat, and if you look at his resume, it's very, very, very questionable in terms of calling him legendary, and in terms of being a legendary puncher. Who did he ever knock out that was worth talking about? Yeah, there we go. Brute Force should be pay-per-view. And let me tell you a little secret about pay-per-view and Sky Sports. Sky Sports were offered Wilder versus Fury. This is when Fury was still champion. This is when Fury was champion. And they refused to have Wilder versus Fury because they didn't think it would make pay-per-view numbers. That is Sky Sports. Sky Sports. Peter Fury told us, check the interview out. So I have no time for it, but that's pay-per-view. So if you ask me what's pay-per-view, that was a pay-per-view fight for me. That's a model. I like that. I like that. You have a guy that's untested. He's a champion, but we want to see what he's about, and you've got a legend. Santa Cruz will go down as a legend. He will go down in Mexican history as a legend. Whether you like it or not, he's going to go down as a legend. He'll go down. He's had some great fights. He's had some great fights. So he'll go on as a Mexican legend. He might not be Eric Morales and Antonio Barrera, but he'll still go on as a Mexican legend. He might not be Julio Cesar Chavez, but he's Leo Santa Cruz. And you have to respect Leo Santa Cruz. Do you understand? So he'll go down as a legend. So so now the next subject, Deontay Wilder. Ingrid, what do you think about the Deontay Wilder situation? Listen, it's one thing saying boxing is a corrupt sport. It's another thing accepting it as a corrupt sport. You see, I don't know how you can call something corrupt but not expect anything corrupt to come out of it. That's like stepping in the shower, getting wet. You know the shower's going to let out water, and then you get in the shower and you get wet. That's meant to happen. Boxing is a corrupt sport, and there's a lot of corruption in boxing. Listen to me. Don't tell me that guy the other night, whatever the name was, beat Lee Selby. He did not beat Lee Selby. That boy did not beat Lee Selby. He didn't. Not all. I'm not calling it corrupt, but he didn't beat Lee Selby. Right? Corruption in sport, whether it be in judging, meaning the guy who wins is the guy that you can make more money out of. That should have nothing to do with if a guy gets beat in a fight. If you try, like, for example, here's a good example of a situation. Oscar De La Hoya, when he fought Felix Sturm, the fight before. So Oscar was had to win the WBO middleweight title. It moved up. He had to fight the middleweight title to get the unification bout or the undisputed fight against Bernard Hopkins. Oscar didn't beat Stern that night. But it didn't matter. Oscar had to stay in his feet so they can make the super fight between De La Hoya and Hopkins. Because nobody going to play for Felix Stern versus Bernard Hopkins for an undisputed fight. Do you get it? That's how it works. The fans have a moan about it, and we move on. There's corruption in boxing. People have been drugged. Fact, people have been drugged in boxing. Stuff has been slipped in water. Again, I go back to this story about Bermain Stavern. In the second round, Larry Holmes, the legendary Larry Holmes, looked at Bermain Stavern for that first fight. And he turned around and he said, he's dehydrated. Second round of a WBC champion defending his heavyweight title. Dehydrated. A dehydrated heavyweight champion. You ever heard of that? Then he goes to the hospital and his pee is not yellow or white. It's brown. Not good. He was dehydrated for that fight. Boxing fans won't accept it. It's wild, it's Tavern, he's rubbish, blah, blah, blah. Boxing fans can be some of the most cruel people in the world as well. Dismissive. When you dismiss somebody and dismiss a person and how they feel is absolutely disgusting. When you're not prepared to investigate a situation, you look at, forget boxing, child abuse. The situations where a young person is saying, look, this person done this, and you dismiss it. Or bullying, and you dismiss the person. He's not bullying you, don't worry about it. And you dismiss the situation. Next thing, that person's committing suicide, taking their life because they've been ignored by the world. But boxing want to talk about mental health. But yet, the same people who talk about mental health are the same people inflicting that same garbage. When you dismiss people, dismissive, not even take a moment to say, you know what? Let's look at that. Let's investigate that. Let's take a balanced view of this. Deontay Wilder with the glove situation. He's making excuses. Blah, blah, blah. Take it like a man. That sounds familiar. Just accept your defeat. Okay. He's made his statement. There is no smoke without fire. As far as I'm concerned, is this. The sport of boxing is corrupt. End of conversation. And because it's corrupt, you've had guys, Luis Ortiz and Alexander Povetkin, regardless how good a fighter they are, both guys have been caught square, red-handed with PEDs, whether it be for blood pressure pills or to look like the Incredible Hulk and punch harder. But they're still on pay-per-view. Jarrell Miller now gets popped. Didn't Povetkin get popped about 3 times? Jarrell Miller is now out of boxing. Yeah, get rid of Miller. We're still watching Povetkin fight on yet another pay-per-view. Can you explain that to me? It's one rule for one person, another rule for somebody else. Yeah, but it's Povetkin, isn't it? Because he's Povetkin. What? No. Miller got popped. He's serving his time. But what about Povetkin? 3 pay-per-views? 4 pay-per-views? It should be banned for life. As Tony Bellew says, he should be banned for life. Should he? Why is he still boxing now? Why are you not talking about it now on those pay-per-view shows? Dillian White when he got knocked out by Povetkin. Why are you not saying, he could have been on PEDs that night? Boxing is corrupt. I'm not suggesting that Povetkin was on PEDs before anyone starts misquoting me. I'm just saying. This situation with Fury I go back to. I could just say, yeah, he's making excuses. But when you go back and you look at the situation with Fury in the sparring partner that said that the padding was removed from the glove in sparring, and he mentioned it, people looked at it and just kind of ignored it. There's no smoke without fire. I say this. Do an independent investigation. Not an investigation that's independent with one of these attached to one of these crook promoters or attached to any corrupt independent of what somebody coming in from the outside come in and investigate, and not being allowed, and no promoters are allowed to be involved or nobody. Come in and do your investigation. And if Wilder is talking absolute shite, he should be sued for it. He should be sued for it, for talking shite. But if Fury has been found to be using illegal gloves or there's some illegal shit that was going on that night, needs to be jailed. Balance. And that's what is needed in boxing. There needs to be an independent governing body, not connected with boxing. Do you understand? Not where promoters have got the judges, paying for the judges on the night, and paying for their hotel rooms and paying for, do they have their food and their drink, and they got pocket money and all the rest of it sorted out in a hotel room. How can a man then go against the promoter's fighter? They can't think, because you're thinking all the time, yeah, man, promoter's looking after me here, man. Man, that was some good girls he brought to the house, man. That's some good weed I got on the night. That's some good coke. That's some good coke I was sniffing that night. Man, yeah, look at all the luxuries I'm getting. Why would I turn around and judge this fight in a way that would give the B side an opportunity to get a win? Oh, the promoter's not going to be happy with me. He's not going to get me on the shows anymore. Check all this shit out. Promoters should not be in bed with judges, and they should not be in bed with referees. Promoters go through one door, referees and judges go through another door, and the two should not talk. That's how it should be. A governing body above all governing bodies, right? So this shit between Wilder and Fury needs to have an independent governing board. I don't know if Fury cheated. I don't know if Wilder's telling the truth. But I'll tell you something, if you have an independent board looking into this shit, we'll soon find out. Klitschko, remember Klitschko was so wonderful and so great, Klitschko. The sport's not corrupted, right? So Fury's able to look under the mat and see the shit under the mat. This is the great Vladimir Klitschko. I see nobody ever, it's gone quiet. This is what I'm talking about. So, yeah, this is the thing. Yeah, I do hear that stuff, Chris. I do hear that stuff, and I do get that stuff. And that's the sort of stuff that you put in evidence in a court. You'll say, you know what? I understand that. But you just can't say that and leave it as that and just walk away from it. That's like when them situations where you have, I can't go much longer into this, but you have to, and we'll have to go back in it. There's some situation where they say, well, he's the uncle of her, and yeah, he's such a good uncle. He would never molest her. He's just the uncle. Really? But she's complaining and saying that he's been messing around with her. Nah, it's only the uncle. Forget about it. So we need to examine these situations, not just outside of boxing, but inside the sport itself, and it be examined and say, look, what is going on here? There's a man saying that you have done illegal stuff with him. Are you going to file for this? Is this getting taken to court? And you, sir, what do you think about it? And present your evidence in a court of law with a non-corruptible judge, and let's see what the situation is. Because I would never, ever want to go and judge or trust the advice of those on Twitter, of non-professional legal people. I would rather, what I mean by that is, I would want to see this situation presented before the courts and a good judge. Do you understand? That's what I want it presented. And then we'll see what's what. Collect your evidence, put it together, and if Tyson's clean, fine. He's clean and he gets compensated by Wilder. But if he's not clean, you understand? There needs to be some serious ramifications for that. That's why I'm going to leave it. So don't come asking me about what I think about Wilder and Fury. I think that there needs to be an independent investigation done to find out what the hell is going on. And I would be calling up that guy who was talking about Fury in his gloves and taking the padding out, because I'd be asking him some more questions. I'm saying, so you spying, when did you see him take the padding out the glove? And he's got the video evidence of it. That's what makes it worse. So yes, independent investigation needs to be done. So let's see here. Wilder thinks Breeding spiked his water. Not really mad. Don't think it's mad. And I don't, who knows? It might not be Mark Breland that spiked him. He might be made to think it's Mark Breland. And Mark Breland's the one guy in that camp that's going to say to him, Wilder, don't do that. Or Wilder, I don't think you should do this. Or Wilder, I don't think you should do that. So I don't know if it is Mark Breland that did that. It sounds to me that somebody has set Mark Breland up for Wilder to go after him. That sounds more plausible. Sounds more plausible. I'm not riding with conspiracy theories without investigation. If Wilder doesn't press charges after people accusing, I don't believe him. That's what I'm saying. See, it has to be done. If you feel that badly about it, take it to court. AJ had a testing exemption, but why? It was never explained, the reasons behind it. Yeah, well, the reasons behind it is that a lot of people invested in AJ as far as I'm concerned, and AJ is a brand. He's an investment. A lot of money invested in AJ. So if you talk about AJ, you get the Dillian White treatment. You talk about AJ, you get the Miller treatment, right? If you talk about AJ and you are Joseph Parker, you quickly apologize. That's what I don't get, BG. Until Wilder does something illegal, it's like pissing in the wind. Well, if he does, then what happens? UCAD changed the whole ruling of TUE exemption 3 weeks before Joshua turned pro in 2013. Very interesting. Me and you had this conversation about the suspected of not being clean. 3 out of 5 we discussed got popped. There we go. Wilder was piss and blood tested after the fight. Anything in his water would have flagged in the results. Interesting. Need to check those results, won't we? Millions of pounds between winning and losing. Wouldn't you try to take as many advantages as possible, legal, illegal? He says he's got evidence. So we don't know what that evidence is. The 30-pound muscle gain is madness. LOL is. So I think that there needs to be, well, hold on. You talk about AJ. What you talk about Povetkin to me, or Luis Ortiz. I believe at least half of the fighters today are in PEDs. One way, shape, or form. I believe so. Heard it too many times from too many damn trainers. Look, you heard right here exclusively that Stacey McKinley said Mike Tyson admitted he felt that Holyfield was on something. But he was not going to go out and squeal about it because he didn't want to lose money for the second fight. Why the blaming for the loss tonight? I think his daughter's to blame tomorrow. Wilder said his doctor confirmed the egg white was responsible for the permanent dent in his head. This is what I'm saying. You can laugh. We can laugh and it's very when we're dismissive of things. Just remember, today you're dismissive of something, but if you ever have a situation where you need somebody to believe what you've got to say, and they just say, don't worry about it, and dismiss you. Dismissiveness is the most, it can cause some serious mental health issues. I'm telling you, being dismissed could cause depression, especially when people dismiss you and make you look as if you were a fool, not giving you the chance to share your opinion or to share your side of things. It's dismissive. It's not nice. Stonewalling you. It's horrible. It's horrible. And people all want to jump in a room and talk about mental health. But you know what causes the mental health? Some of these situations. The same actions that you're putting out now and talking and trying to laugh the situation. Wilder this and Wilder that. It's dismissive. And those things Well, you might think it's funny here, or might think it's a little laugh and a joke here. It's somebody's welfare and somebody's livelihood. That's where being balanced and down the line and saying, you know what? This is what you've got to say. I hear what you've got to say. This is what you've got to say. I hear what you've got to say. Let's go take it in the courtroom and let's do it. I don't want to hear anybody say, well, this is not credible and that's not credible. Because for you to say something's credible or not credible, you have to be in the room and say, you know what? Let me see your evidence. Let me see the evidence to see what you've got. But there ain't nobody in this room today talking and saying, yeah, I was in Wilder's room and he's got these bits of evidence. So if a court case is brought up and he goes to court about the situation, things will turn. Like there was people in this room, same room, about Dillian White, the WBC situation, that mandatory situation. Why is he going to the court? He's not going to get a WBC. Forget Dillian White. It's not going to happen. What happens? He goes to court. Less than no time, WBC installs it as mandatory. His next fight is against Tyson Fury. What he does up to that is his business and gets knocked out. So opinions count for nothing because those opinions are not really examined. So I think on balance, if that guy at the gym was with Fury and he had the glove and he said the padding was out of the glove, that's something that needs to be examined because it's there. Wraps and gloves of Fury were filmed and signed off by the Nevada Commission. I think there's some mad court case for slander coming up. Oh yeah, it'll come up. Let it be. Let it be. That's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen. Let it be. Let it happen. Acebury isn't credible. He was saying some disgraceful things about Fury and his family on the LDBC channel. Well, I don't know. I don't know the full extent of that, but the glove is all I heard about the glove being off and whatever. But Wilder vanished for months after getting battered, comes back out of sorts, needs keeping an eye on by his people close to him. That is something that's true, and that's something good to talk about there as well. But I just think, because I don't think this is going to go away. Boss, I'm a Wilder fan, but I'm not with this BS. Vlad said he was drugged, but people dismissed him. That's what I'm saying. People dismissed me when I said that I believed Bermain Stavern was drugged that night. And I said from round one, when Fury fought Wilder, go back and listen to my commentary, I said, he doesn't look right. His back foot don't look right. He doesn't look fight. And in no fight have I seen Deontay Wilder look like that. I don't care how much Fury stood like this and he blocks this way. Wilder's back foot, back leg had no balance from round one. And if you've got no balance in your back foot, you can't generate no power. Go back and listen to the commentary. I'm not talking crap. Go back and listen to my commentary. So something was not right with Wilder from round one. And don't tell me, well, he was scared. No, I don't hear that either. Something wasn't right. Something wasn't right. Yeah, bro, I'm coming. Damn. So what I'm saying is this. Balanced. So what you're saying, so what you expect me to say to you guys is this. Well, yeah, I accept what you're saying, that what Wilder's saying is BS. What you're saying is just as credible as what Wilder's saying. Because you both have an opinion. But we need to examine that opinion. So if all you people here that are talking now are quite happy to go in front of a court, in front of a judge, and say, yeah, I think he's talking BS. In America, and say that, I'm quite happy to accept the libel and for slander of a man's character, because if it does come out to be true that Fury was illegal, then I hope you all were prepared to pay the money that comes for slandering that man. If you're that sure that there's no sort of dodginess going on, that's fine. But to me, I don't know how you can be so rock solid sure that there was nothing amiss going on without seeing the evidence. That's like me having a pack of cards, a set of cards. We're playing cards. You can't see what my card is, but you're telling me, oh yeah, I know that you have not got the card. You've not got the card to beat me in this game. I know that. You can't see my cards. It's just me and you in the room. How do you know? You don't know what the evidence is here. And boxing fans love to talk about what they don't know about. That talking about what you don't know about, it's just not, it's not cool. Show me the evidence, show me what you got, not just a video of you saying, well, you know, Fury did this and Fury did that and look at my face. No. I want hardcore evidence. Do you understand? We're taking this to court, I want the evidence. And he's got loads of evidence, so I understand. Lots of evidence, not just on a video. So I want that to go to court. Take Fury's ass to court as well and see what happens. Yeah, could benefit from doing this. Take it to court. Yeah, I think take it to court. Take it to court, I say. Is it possible Wilder is suffering from mental health issues after the beating he got from Fury? For him to say Breland poisoned the water is illogical. Breland couldn't. No, Breland couldn't. Breland's the only one in the team. Breland's not the only one in the team. And I'm telling you, they put water in something in Stivern's water. And you can say what you like and you can mock me all you like for it. But the sport of boxing is corrupt. And if you can sit here and have a conversation with me and tell me the sport of boxing is not corrupt, then I'm afraid to say that, you know, you better keep believing that Santa Claus is real. So you have to take it to court. Unless you are in Team Wilder, for you to say what he's talking is rubbish, you have to have the evidence. You have to see what the man's got as evidence. You understand? But it's easy to have an opinion when there's no consequence behind it. If there was a consequence behind what you all are saying, then. So I'm just saying to you, listen. A man cannot be dehydrated within the second round of a heavyweight title fight. Which heavyweight gets dehydrated? Again, Larry Holmes was on tape saying to Don King, get that man extra water, he's dehydrated. How can a heavyweight champion will be dehydrated in the second round of a fight? So what comes around goes around in boxing. And could he have been drugged? Yes, I believe he could have been drugged. Just like I believe Klitschko could have been drugged. It's a corrupt sport. Anything is possible. We've seen Marcachito with the gloves, right? Anything's possible in boxing. We've seen people got popped for PEDs. The sport is dirty. That's why there needs to be an independent body to examine these things. So forget the name Wilder and the name Fury. Take the damn personalities away. Two men in court. One is accusing the other man of being an illegal sportsman or doing illegal things. And the other man is trying to defend his name. That's what it is. Forget Fury, forget Wilder. Just two men. Because then we take away all the, he's American, he's black, Fury's white, he's from Ireland, or he's a better fighter. Take all that garbage away. Two men. Take the emotions out of it. Because when you go to court, it ain't about emotions. It's about the pure facts. And that is why we need to take this stuff to court. Don't want to hear no more from Wilder talking about, I've got evidence. I've got evidence. Don't want it. Get your legal team behind you and go to court. Dillian Whyte said, you know what? I've had enough of you messing me around WBC. I'm taking you to court. And as soon as Dillian Whyte took him to court, you saw what happened. So yeah, get in court and sort it out in the court, one way or the other, and put an end to this rubbish. Right, that's the end for me. I've got to go and do another show. Thank you all so much. Love the sport of boxing. Can't stand the BS in boxing. Either way. I'm out. Thanks for watching. Take care.